TIFU by getting a new job and doing it in 1/7 time of the last person. TIFU by getting a new job and being stupidly efficient in it. TLDR below, but basically I got a job 3 months ago and I've been, as most new personnel would, trying my best. I suppose this fuck up happened a few months ago, but I only just realized when it was raised at a staff meeting that the team pay was far lower than usual. So it's just come to my attention that I'm keeping up with all of the tasks within 7 working hours a week. The last person who held this job, for 4 years, worked 35 hours a week to get it all done. That's over 4x more efficient. I'm getting paid by the hour and could have easily claimed I needed 38 hours a week to get shit done. However, they've already seen it can be done in 8. I just lost myself at least $3,000 a month in paid Reddit scrolling time. I fucked maths up but can't change. The title should say 1/5, TLDR. Got shit done efficiently, shot myself in the foot.
What you need to do is things up for a week and then say it wasn't as easy as you first thought and take a week to fix it. Rinse, repeat.
I'm seriously thinking of doing this. I'm only scheduled for Thursday and Friday. I might ask to work Wednesday because I'm falling behind.
Yeah, you can still get yourself out of this if you play it well. Like the first commenter said, run into issues, take more time next week, and over the course of the next few weeks you can make it seems like you had a few really easy weeks to start, but there's things that you didn't run into that happen fairly regularly that cause you to take more time. I would be thoughtful about it so it seems very genuine to management and not at all contrived. Be able to explain what it was that you had to do this time that you didn't before. That takes time, even if it's just a little time. They probably haven't done it or know exactly how long that specific task would take. Just have enough detail so it's clearly obvious this is something you just did and know thoroughly. If you do that and are only just marginally better than your predecessor, 32 hours a week is still full-time with benefits, and you'd be 10% faster than your predecessor, and bet they'll be happy to save 10%.
To add on to this, it's not uncommon to be stupidly efficient the first months or so off a new job. But then you'll start to burn out that initial energy one had. One can only keep up a fast pace for so long without issue.
This reminds me of the TIFU, where a guy was being hired to fix IT problems for a company, and fixed them during his interview to prove he could do so. They didn't hire him because the job was done.
Moral of that story is never do something, never do it for free.
It's the opposite in my opinion. The expectation from management is in the first few months you are learning, so may take longer to do stuff. But as you develop you become more efficient, so faster with tasks.
Your good work will be rewarded with more good work.
My friend made a similar but it worked for her thanks to an awesome boss. She has a desk job but also writes these horrendously cliché romance novels, like Purposefully Horrendous, as a side gig. When she first started her job, she was finishing her day's work in just a few hours, then getting bored, so she'd go to her boss and ask for something else to do. It was only a few months before all the back burner stuff was done and he had nothing else to give her. He finally told her, "Look, if I need something done, you're my go-to, but in the meantime, just try to look busy and stop pestering me." So now she spends the first half of her day doing her work, and the second half writing. When a task comes in, she does it, then goes back to what she was doing. As long as she writes in a notebook, her boss doesn't care. So now she literally gets paid to write on the big man's time.
What a dream.
I'm 32 and learned in my first professional job over 10 years ago to never set a high standard when you first start. Always be as good as, or slightly better than your predecessor. But once you set a high bar for yourself, you will always be expected to meet or surpass it. Set the bar low so when you do go over and above, it's an obvious achievement. It also makes doing appraisals easier because I never usually know what the to put in them. I don't make notes of what I do. Once I've finished a task, I erase it from my brain and move on with my life. If I only have a few major achievements a year, it makes it easier to remember them and write about them to big myself up.
That's a failing of a job position than if there's only one problem for the hire to solve.
This is what me off about working by the hour. The better you are at your job, the less valuable you are. If the company wants a job done, they should pay for the job, not the hours it takes to do the job.
I was dangerously close to doing the same thing for myself when I started my new job a year ago. I make content for our company, and what should technically take 5 days, I can do in a day or two. Was pretty proud of myself and was gonna tell my boss I was done until I realized I'd just get more work piled onto me if they knew I was done. For the good thing my boss is the one who decides how many hours I'd need per week to do. The funny part, my boss knows how many hours to assign to me because he does basically the same thing, just for a different branch. Which means he either does it super slow or he knows it can be done super fast and just doesn't want to it up for either of way. Ain't no way I'm letting any of them know how much time it actually takes for me to do my job. Been going on over a year and I still have a stupidly large amount of paid free time.
If I was your boss, I'd convert you to salaried so I wouldn't be at risk of losing you, and then I'd set you loose to see what else you can improve. I love that kinda.
Yup. But unfortunately, salary in my experience has just been a way to get free overtime out of people that are in positions that regularly need to work more than 40 hours.
IIRC, the issue was that some systems the company used had broken and the person that originally made them had left. The company was looking to hire this person to make all new systems for them to use as they thought the old ones work. Has a similar thing. When my superior started in my department, they were still using paper printouts and highlighters. He created a set of Excel spreadsheets to process and log a lot of what we do, but some of his formulas are mind-blowing and he really makes Excel pull way more weight than it needed to. His tools are so good, the company has neglected a lot of the other systems we use because we would have to pay our external IT partners to make changes in our department as a money pit for the company. We are vital for legal compliance, but don't make the company any day he leaves is the day we are plunged back into the Stone Age.
I used to do the work of 3 people. Then I couldn't get promoted because they would have had to hire 3 people to replace me.
I'm legitimately about to change companies because of this. I sell software, which is both quota and commission based. But your quota is based on past performance. So if you routinely break quota by a good bit, then your quota goes. I started like 6 years ago, when I was 27. Had very few obligations, was a mild workaholic, and was very money motivated. So when I heard uncapped commission, I was like, hell yeah, I can just work an obscene amount and make an obscene amount of money, and that was entirely by choice. But after 6 years of quota creep, I've gone from working 65+ hour weeks because I wanted to working 65+ hour weeks just to meet quota half the time. A lot of the older guys warned me this would happen, and it didn't really bother me because I always figured, hey, I want to make as much money as I can, so it doesn't really matter since I can't think of any reason I wouldn't want to work more to hit those numbers anyway. Except now my wife is pregnant with triplets, so I'm basically stuck here like, ooh, so that's what they were talking about, and looking at new companies where I can start over with a normal quota.
I did this with a metal shear. They gave me a list of sizes to cut. I went back to him with a couple hours left in the day. I asked what was next. He got a little rude and said something like, I appreciate your initiative, but you need to focus on your work, not what you're doing next. I said I finished. He said that was a week's worth of work. Lol.
When I was working for a company and paid hourly, I became efficient enough at my job to get all of my work done before lunch. The manager then started assigning other tasks to me like dispatching, ordering parts, maintenance. All of these things he was paying other people to do and was now able to save money by having me do it. I told him I would like to negotiate a pay increase, seeing as how I am more valuable. He explained to me that my job description includes other duties as assigned. If I became unwilling to do the new duties he assigned, he could cut my hours in half. Or I could quit. I started taking all day to do just my job. It was soon after he found a reason to fire me.
This is correct. Many jobs are where you are paid to be available immediately. Not busy all the time, but when someone is needed, and the employer needs it done immediately, part of your job is to be available to do it.
Reminds me of the guy who had automated his entire data entry job. He was supposed to be working all night doing data entry from home. But his script handled everything, so he just sat and played video games and kept an eye on it. He was really well paid, his employer was super happy with the volume of work he was getting done, and they wanted him to train his peers. In reality, there is no human way to do the entry as fast as his program was performing. Not sure what happened to him. Reddit history, I guess.